Yes, authorities report an astounding rise in local fentanyl seizures. Today, they call that highly dangerous opioid the #1 drug threat in the Fox Valley.
The State Attorney General Josh called among a group of leaders speaking out about this growing problem. Samantha Cavalli has more on the plea from law enforcement in this First Alert update.
In 2022, LWAM saw more than a 4,000% increase in drug seizures containing fentanyl as compared to 2021. I want to say that number again, 4,000% increase.
Law enforcement agencies throughout the Lake Winnebago region joined Attorney General Josh Call at the Oshkosh Police Department Thursday afternoon to raise awareness about fentanyl seizures, which are increasing at an alarming rate.
We know that while law enforcement is working hard to intercept packages and to hold drug traffickers accountable, that there are going to be drugs that get through, and that puts the safety and health of Wisconsinites at risk.
Fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times stronger than morphine, and small quantities of fentanyl mixed with other illegal narcotics can lead to overdose deaths. Project Director for LWAM, Jeremiah Winsher, said at the forefront of the increasing alarming trend in the Fox Valley is the emergence of counterfeit prescription pills that contain fentanyl. Oftentimes, these counterfeit prescription pills can look like oxycodone or any other type of prescription, varying in shape, size, and color.
According to data that we reviewed from the Drug Enforcement Administration, approximately 60%, or 6 out of 10 of these prescription pills that contain fentanyl contain a lethal dose, making each pill a gamble.
Winsher says so far in 2023, they have seen a 295% increase in fentanyl seized, which is more than what was seized in 2021. Oshkosh Police Chief Dean Smith said in 2022, there were 64 drug overdoses, 13 resulting in death. In 2023, they have seen 8 overdoses, resulting in 3 deaths just in the month of March. He says the goal is to make drug dealers afraid to sell within their communities.
Drug dealers are preying on our citizens, and our citizens are dying. We must go after the drug dealers and ensure that all 4 counties are not a desirable place to sell drugs. We have to stop this.
Samantha Cavalli, Action 2 News, Oshkosh.